it really destroyed my confidence. I thought I was like the worst player ever. Like, it wasn't fun. I would dread going to practice. I didn't even want to play in games. Play honestly, like I literally just did not want to play.
Welcome back to Find Your Power podcast. I'm your host, Avery Jane, and today I have my friend Maddie here, and we're doing an episode that I feel like is very niche, but also not so niche at the same time. Because even if you weren't an athlete, I feel like everyone has had something in their life that became part of their identity. And then when it changed, you were kind of like, who even am I without this thing? But today we're specifically talking about finding purpose outside of your sport because when you're an athlete, especially if you've played for years, it's not just something you do, it becomes your routine, your social life, your confidence, your goals, your schedule, honestly, just everything about you. And I can relate to this to an extent from playing competitive softball and then after high school switching to more of like a club experience in college where I still play, but it's much less competitive and it just doesn't feel the same. And Maddie has her own experience with playing college flag football and then transferring schools, which changed that whole team environment for her. So, Maddie, tell everyone a little bit about your background in flag football and about yourself.
Okay, yeah. So flag football, I started playing like when I was maybe 6 or 7, like actually, and it wasn't a serious sport. It was kind of like city league, like you play with guys, like whatever. It was just fun. Like it wasn't like a structured thing for girls, and so I stopped playing to focus on basketball in middle school and um in high school as well. But however, high school does offer flag football and it's actually growing. So when I started, it was only in 3 states in like my freshman year. Now it's in like over 20 states. So it's grown heavily. So I started to take it a lot more seriously in high school and I kind of phased out of basketball. By the time I was a sophomore, um, there started to be opportunities for a scholarship to play in college. And, that's everyone who's an athlete knows that, like, I mean, most people, that's the dream, is to get a scholarship and play in
Yeah.
college. And unfortunately, for a lot of girls, with flag football, like, that was an option. Like, up until then, it just stopped after high school. So, but unfortunately, a lot of the schools that started opening up, they were very small, very like private schools. So there wasn't a lot of options. So that is what brought the dilemma that a lot of flag football players like me had, where it's, do we continue to go on and play the sport that we love in college, but sacrifice having the big college experience, the nice education, the location you want to live? Because like I said, there's only so many options. You can't really be picky. So that did bring a dilemma on me, but I've always felt like I've had to go somewhere for a sport. Like at first I thought it was basketball, and when I found flag football, I knew it was that. And I really did excel in high school and do very well. And I didn't want to stop. So I ended up deciding to go on a scholarship to play at Thomas University, which is in Thomasville, Georgia. And this is they were at the time a newer program. Got me. It was hard. It was if you've played a sport in college, you'll know that it's a whole nother level that no one can really ever prepare for. It's a full-time job, and it was a lot on me mentally and physically. By the end of the day, like, it was an awesome experience. I just wish that it could have been at a better school. And so after 2 years, I got to thinking, and that's when it hit me. I was like, where do I go after this? Because at the time, there was no, oh, I graduate college and I get drafted. There wasn't a, oh, I do this. It was just like, okay, now what? And I didn't want to, have a, degree that, a lot of companies or businesses overlooked or anything like that, because all I've been doing is playing flag football. I haven't been networking. I haven't been building and working on myself, I've been football. And so I eventually decided to transfer to FSU for my last 2 years, where I currently am. And FSU has a club flag football team. So the difference between club and scholarship is that club, you don't get a scholarship, you just try out. You still practice, you still have games. It's a lot less structured. It's, a lot more lenient. So the competition is not, it's not nearly as competitive, but it's definitely a good fix for people who still want to continue to play their sport, after high school. And, that's what I decided to do. And, I'm currently doing that. I love it, and definitely was a drop off in competition. That's where I'm at right now, and I'm still looking to, kind of change the program and be competitive. But yeah, that's my story of playing flag football and transferring.
Yeah, that's a really good story. I liked it. So, kind of going back to when you played at Thomas University, so for a scholarship, what kind of did your day-to-day look like when you were on that team versus how it looks now with playing flag football?
So, okay, so it's a little different each semester. So, let's say typically my days were I would wake up and I would have like 2 or 3 classes um a day. We didn't have class on Fridays, which was nice. And then after class, I would literally go back to my dorm and I would eat, and then I would go straight to weights, and then after weights, I would go straight to practice, and then after practice, I would go home. That was a usual day. Some days were different. Sometimes we had morning practice, and then other days we had film instead of weights. So it just depends. It was always like 2 activities a day. So yeah, and then I didn't have any time to work, which was very hard because I had no money. Like I had no money. And so now my days look a lot different because at Thomas we practice like 6 days a week, and during the season it was more like 4 or 5 because we had games. But like in the fall and stuff, it was about 6 days a week, not really much time to practice or do anything. Now we practice 2 days a week for 2 hours a day. We don't have structured weightlifting. We don't have film. We kind of just show up and go home, and it's not really a lot of effort like outside of practice. So my day now, I work at Starbucks. That was another thing that I was like, oh, like I'm definitely gonna have more free time. And it's weird. Like I have more free time, but I also don't, like, at all, because I was traveling every week. Like that was a lot for me. Like I was like gone by like every single week. And we only have tournaments once a month. Like so we really don't travel that much.
Yeah, that's something that I also had the experience with from the shift from like competitive high school softball to the college club team now is our
Mhm.
practices are the same, 2
Yeah.
days a week for 2 hours on the club team. And
Mhm.
like you said, not much effort outside of practices. And
Mhm.
then versus in high school, 4 to 5 days a week if we had
Yeah.
games, add that into there,
Right.
and you were expected to be doing some kind of conditioning or practice or lessons outside of that as well. So yeah, I definitely realized that kind of shift. And something else that I noticed is how much of your routine and your friendships and the people that you have in your life can change as well, because I'm sure that you also experienced spending so much time with these same people,
Mhm.
and versus now, how does that look? Is it harder now to make friends, do you feel like, in without having your sport every day, the same people to go to?
Yes, I was gonna say, I think just in general, like, just like being on a team and seeing these people constantly, you automatically develop close relationships. I think that Thomas, it was even it was like more just because it was so small. Like I knew everybody. You either have your teammates, and then you probably had people outside your team. And so, and I'm seeing my teammates in my classes. I'm seeing them on campus. I'm seeing them I live with them. I'm seeing them at practice. I'm seeing them at film, at weights. I'm traveling, spending weekends with them. I'm literally with, I've never spent so much time with the same people. And it's like, it's just, it's so hard because you get so, obviously, like, you get tired of them, but like, you love them. That's your family. And like, I still keep up with them. Like, I haven't really like hung out with anyone because people left and stuff. I still text. We still have our group chat. Like we keep up here and there. So having like 20 friends and people, like just a family, and then switching here and not having that has been hard. When you're not like forced in like a circle, you have to branch out, and it's especially coming as a junior. Everyone's got their group. Like everyone's got their group. Everyone already met people freshman year. They already had all that fun that you have freshman year. And then so that was definitely hard. And I've only been there 3 semesters. I had my team, but like I said, we only see each other 2 days a week, and like we didn't put in like that much effort to like hang out, like ever. All athletes know, like, chemistry is everything. Like, you will play so much better if you guys have chemistry. And it is sad, like, leaving behind that family, and it's like it's a different family. And I love my team now as well. I love them both. They're just very different. And it's still a work in progress. But
Yeah, for sure. Aside from people and like friendships, do you feel like also the structure of like routine is a lot different as well? Because I know that changed for me a lot, with having the conditioning, having the practice, and that was like structured into my schedule. And I
mhm,
mean, not to mention for me as well, it was still high school. So the schedule was very consistent every day with
mhm,
school and everything.
mhm.
But yeah, I wanted to ask you if you felt like it was more freeing or more confusing when you kind of made that shift in your routine.
Yeah, so it was definitely more freeing because, like, a lot of that I'm comparing to, it really depends on the school too as well. Because at TU, because it's small, like, literally, if you were taking a class, there were like 2, maybe 3 sections. The whole time I was at TU, my class schedule was very similar, like very similar. Now it's, kind of all over the place a little bit. So that was one thing. And then also, like, obviously, like, we would get like our schedule for like the entire, like, the month, the semester, or whatever, practices, film, even like events. Like, we would have to go to like random events and stuff, like whatever. And so like everything was built around that. So switching here, like, to FSU, like, nothing's like, I don't feel like anything's being built around anything. Like, I'm just like create, like, yes, we have practice, but like it's like as long as I don't work or have class in the evening, it doesn't affect anything. I have way more time to hang out with people. Like, that's one thing that was important for me, is like I only ever had time to hang out with my teammates because we had the same exact schedule. So I was free, they were free. And
Mhm.
that was, so I ended up just seeing them even more. But now, because I don't have to be like, I'm doing this with my team, I'm doing this, or I'm traveling every single weekend, you know, I'm able to go out, I'm able to make friends, I'm able to I could join a club if I wanted to, if it like was on a different day, and the weekends are free, so I can find, like, I never had weekends for real. So I think it's more freeing. Like, honestly, it's I'm still busy, but it's all like by choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you do feel more free with it, but what about like your identity and its or like your purpose? Because that is kind of what I wanted to talk about because I feel like at least when I was in high school, a big part of my identity was softball. Like if someone
Right.
asked me like, "Oh, like what do you do? Like what do you like? What are hobbies that you have?" The first one was always softball. Like, "Oh, I practice, I do this." And now that you play for the club, does that look different? Do you still like say that as your first thing if someone asks you? How did that change for you?
Yeah, so that definitely changed, like, a lot, because like you said, like, growing up, like, I've played like almost every sport, like, literally. And like I was always like, an athlete. Like, I was always, that's always what I talked about. Everyone always knew me as athlete. Like, everyone thought I was going somewhere. You know what I mean? Like that's not even trying to toot my horn. Like that's all people ever knew me for. I think it's hard because like in high school is like I won a lot of awards. Even in college, like I got a lot of recognition, won a lot of awards. I could have went further. So like I think that's hard because people also don't like understand. Like they don't like no one like first of all, a lot of people don't realize that flag football is even like a legit thing. Like they're still learning. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be in the Olympics, like it's growing, you get scholarships. So honestly, when I was in that world, the people I was around, they knew what was going on. They knew what flag football was. They knew about TU. But now being at FSU, it's like I'll meet people at work and I'm like, what do you? I'm like, yeah, I play flag football. They're like, oh, yeah, like I did powder puff. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
get it. And I'm like, it's like, like I don't know. It's
Oh yeah, that's
yeah,
very different.
right. And so I'm like, oh yeah, no, like, and it's just like I don't know. It's just weird because that world is so separate, and it's like, there's so much like glam and awards and like recognition, and then but like no one ever sees it unless you like pay attention to it. And so now that I left it, it does feel weird. I'll still say play flag football. I don't know. I don't like to like brag or anything. So like I won't really mention that I played on a scholarship or anything because one, people like I said, people just don't get it. They're like they start asking too many questions and then then I'm like it's okay. Like yeah, like I just played. Or two, just because like you said, it's not really my identity anymore, which it has been a hard switch that I'm still struggling with like today because it's weird because I'm still playing. Like I think it'd be different if I wasn't playing flag football at all. Like it's
Yeah.
like I think it's hard now because it's like I still play, but it's almost like I went down. Like I was here and then I like went down. And I'm like,
it's
man,
almost like got demoted.
exactly. And and like I self demoted. Like that's literally what it feels like. So it's like weird because I feel like I got fired or like demoted, but like I chose that. And it's like obviously there were a lot of reasons why I did that. And we can go into that too, but I do think that it's really is hard like kind of finding a new identity for yourself. So like when people ask me now like what do I do and stuff, like I say that, but I also am like I'm like, yeah, I'm psychology, like, I like dancing. I like line dancing. Like, I don't know. Like I'm still trying to, find my purpose and identity. And like to be honest, like growing up, like sports were like the one thing that I was like really good at, but there were a lot of things that I wanted to do that I just like didn't really pursue. Like I used to do Wolf Center and stuff like and so I was into editing and videography and stuff that I never really talked about it. I just did it. Like but it wasn't like a part of my identity and like I didn't keep up with it, but like that would be something that I would go back into. Like if I could like pick myself up and do it. And like, other things like starting to get an interest in I'm still interested in psychology, but I'm trying to figure out which path of psychology I want to go on because I know I don't want to counsel. But, it's definitely not for the weak switching from that, that praise and glam and then kind of just becoming like forgotten. That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. So you mentioned it's different, like it would be really different if you just like stopped playing.
Yeah.
What would that be like? Like if someone just like took the sport away from you, like who would you be? Would that change so much how you see yourself now?
So, like, funny you say that because, like if someone took it away now, I like probably like I'd be like, dang, but like I wouldn't, you know what I mean? But it wouldn't be like life altering like it would have been a couple years ago. Like, and I think that's just because it's so small right now. Like, it's just like it literally just feels like a side hobby that I just did.
Exactly.
Like I feel like my identity is more of a barista than a flag football player. Like honestly, because like I spend more time at work than I do playing flag football, which used to be obviously not the case. So that's why I feel like if someone took it away now, I wouldn't I wouldn't say like I wouldn't say, oh well, back then I used to like if they asked, oh, have you ever played sports? I'd be like, yeah, like football, da da da. But it was just one of those things. It would just be one of those things that I used to do that I wouldn't really talk about unless someone asked.
Yeah, but if someone took that away, say a year ago, then how would that look?
Um, probably would crashed out because like okay, so there was a time where like that's the thing. It's hard now because I like flag football is genuinely growing so much that it's like I wish that I wish that I could like be in high school right now because it's starting D1 programs are starting to pick it up. Like, schools like FSU, UCF, USF, they're in the next couple years. Like it's already made it to a number of D1 schools. They're going to be starting a pro league eventually. It's in the Olympics now. Well, will be in a couple years. So it's like right now is the perfect time to be in high school because there's so many opportunities emerging. But because I already played in college, like, I kind of lost that. I don't really know exactly how the eligibility works, but at that time a year ago, like I was like my future. I was like, I want to be in the Olympics. Like, you know, I want to, do this. And even at that point, even if I was like, oh, I can't play D1, I was like, I want to coach D1. Like I was
Mhm.
flag football. Like I was, that's like what I wanted to do. Like what I was good at. It was what I was known for. So I feel like if that went away, like everything would have like crumbled. So I don't know. It's weird. Like it's weird because at one point it was like my everything, and now it's like one of my things.
Right. Yeah, I feel the same way. It's kind of just like a thing I do on the side now.
That's exactly
Yeah, but I agree. I would think first define myself as like my jobs that I have now
right.
before the sport. But of course in high school, the job was like second.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And then in high school, it's like you're like no, like high school is kind of like not super clicky, but I mean, you're known for like what you play, and like
Right.
everyone knows you play softball, everyone knows this person plays basketball and stuff like that. So it's like that I think that's a really big part of your high school identity is what sport you're doing. Even like what hobby you're doing. Like theater kids were known as doing theater. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly. Yeah.
it's just so weird, like getting out of that area and be like, ugh, like now what? Like I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's important to acknowledge that especially outside of high school, like once you graduate high school, if you move into college or wherever you go after that, it's important to know that your purpose doesn't just have to be like one thing. And
Yeah.
that's kind of a big thing that we do. We define ourselves by one or two things in our life, but yeah, I think it's important to realize that there's a lot of different dimensions to us, and it doesn't just have to be one or two things that make us who we are.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow. That is true.
Yeah. So I did want to ask you kind of your like advice or your viewpoint on some things. So what would you say to someone who feels lost after their sport isn't their whole life anymore? Just like kind of how you had, but maybe they don't play it at all anymore. And they
Mhm.
went from that switch from college, scholarship to just nothing.
Yeah. So I would say, I mean, it's hard for me to say because I am like dreading the day or I'm like actually done because
Yeah.
then it's like then I like I said, it's not going to be as detrimental, but it's definitely going to feel weird. But I would you know definitely say that like what you did like in your sport, like people are going to remember sports. That's the thing about sports. Like a small percentage of people go on to play for their career, like literally like less than 1% or something. Like it's crazy. And so like as much as it sucks, it's very normal. And I think that like you say, like life has many purposes. And I think that growing up, sports is a great way to build connections. It's a great way to learn. It's a great way to stay healthy because we don't really have a lot of other options. But obviously once you get to a certain age where you're ready to be done playing your sport, the door opens for so many more things to do that you couldn't have done maybe 5 years ago. And so I think instead of looking at it as oh, like, I'm not playing that sport that I was really good at anymore, it's like, what is this? Now I have this time to do something maybe I've always wanted to do but couldn't do because I was always playing sports, or I'm want to try this new hobby that isn't physically taxing, or you know anything. So I don't know. I think that the way I'm seeing it and the way that that's been pushing me through is that, like, not playing is like giving me time to really think about the endless possibilities of what I want to do, because for so long I kind of, like, as much as I loved it, I felt like I was in a box of like what I was and what I had
Mhm.
to do. And now that I'm not, I feel like, what if I wanted to do photography? Like photography, you know what I mean? What if I wanted to do skateboarding? You know what I mean? Like, you can do whatever you want now. So I think that
Yeah.
that's what I would tell people who are, struggling with that.
Yeah, I really like that advice. That was really good. And not only that, but also too, I think if you're out of the sport, but you have a lot of knowledge in it, there's still
Yeah,
opportunities that you can do even if you're not playing, whether that's coaching, giving lessons, maybe it's even just volunteering without
absolutely.
getting paid. But yeah, I think that you don't have to completely be rid of it if you don't want to, because there are little things that you can do to kind of keep your sport in your life if you want.
Exactly. I definitely think that coaching is definitely something that I will always be a possibility for me. Like, I'm that's never I still would coach now if I could. I think it's just about finding the right, opportunity. I've thought about doing it on the side, like now, like, like for high school or something, like just to help
Mhm.
out, something like that. So I definitely think that's like the kind of outlet where, like, you can go on and keep that sport with you for literally forever.
Yeah, I've thought about the same thing, like doing lessons or
Yeah,
something.
you should.
Yeah, yeah. But I also really like the perspective of, shifting from, oh, I just lost a really big part of myself and my life and my identity, to, oh, this is opening up so many more opportunities for new identity, new purposes in my life,
Yeah,
and new hobbies.
exactly.
Another thing I wanted to talk about is going back to that switch from college sport to club sport. Was there differences in, like, the accountability and the lack of a coach as well? Because I know in club you don't really have a coach, at least in my team. It's more just everyone kind of counting on each other. Yeah, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, so playing it to you was a lot on me emotionally. Like, I have a love-hate relationship with my coach from TU. 'Cause she was a very, very knowledgeable, extremely good coach, but she was very, very, very tough. And a lot of times I didn't really agree with how tough she was. And I'll be honest, it really destroyed, like, my confidence. Like, I honestly thought I was like the worst player ever. Like, it wasn't fun. I would dread going to practice. I didn't even want to play in games. Play honestly. Like I literally just did not want to play. Like, and I think that's another reason why I left. And I genuinely thought that, like, I just didn't like flag football. But so I would say the accountability thing, like, that's I don't know, people, everyone has their own experience with college. Like, that was just mine. It was, and a lot of people, it just wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. It felt like work. It was like not fun work, and we weren't getting like millions bucks. So it was just like, what am I doing here? Um, so yeah, that was another reason why I kind of left that, and I thought I just didn't want to play flag football anymore. So when I came to FSU and played club, it took me a while to kind of develop that love for it again. But over time, I did, because, like, I actually, like, had fun. Like, I would
Mhm.
at TU, I would dread going to practice. At FSU, I didn't want practice to end. Like, and that was like having that switch. Like, I hadn't felt that way since high school. Like, because, like, high school was really fun for me. It was competitive. High school was just a great mix of everything. And so I had the competitiveness that I longed for at TU, but I did not enjoy it as much as I should have. And then at FSU, like, that was the one thing, though, is the competitiveness drop. But It was a lot more fun. However, it's hard going from a level like that where you don't missing practice is literally not an option. That's not even a thing. Like I can't even comprehend someone just not going to practice because unless you're like sick. Because even if you're injured, you're expected to be there. And like your whole entire life revolves around practice and games and your flag schedule. That's why you're at TU. So at FSU, we have girls in sororities. We have people in other clubs. We have people who are just engineering majors and doing stuff like just barely busy. So a lot of times there would be practices and half the team wasn't there, and it was hard for me to like get my mind around it. And because of like the fear instilled in me from like I still like have yet to miss like a single practice like in the 2 semesters I played. And I think I'm honestly not the only one.
Well, I think that pretty much wraps up today's episode. Thank you again for joining me today, Maddie. This was fun. We will have to do another episode again sometime.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, make sure to check out Maddie's Instagram. What is your at?
Yes, so my at is my name at Maddie Hougland. MADDIEHOUGLAND.
Perfect. Check out Maddie's Instagram, guys.
Thank you guys
we
so
will
much for tuning
probably
in and
have her on
today.
the podcast again.
Today we talked a little bit about finding your identity outside of your sport and outside of being an athlete. Maybe you're in a season where the thing that once defined you doesn't anymore, and that doesn't mean you lost yourself. It might just mean you're meeting a new version of yourself. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in and listening today. I appreciate you all for being here. Follow the Instagram or the TikTok at findyourpower_podcast. And if you enjoyed, please rate the podcast 5 stars on Spotify or Apple. Also, if you listen on YouTube, please subscribe there and leave any comments or reviews there as well. If you guys are interested in being featured for an interview or a conversation, you can send me an email at the email linked in the podcast description section or shoot me a DM on the Instagram as well. I will talk to you guys again next Thursday, and don't forget, we will find your power.